Hello, I'm Charles Fellows and welcome to day number 17 of my challenge to do 30 vlogs in 30 days. Today I would like to tell you a story. So a couple of months ago I took my car in for service. So I have a Mini, so the car dealer that I deal with is BMW as they manufacture them. And in I went, I was at the door to the compound to go in to take it in. There's a security guy on the door and he won't let you in until you've given him your registration number, your name, you've told him what you're going to have done today. And then you drive in, you go to the gate and there's a gentleman dressed probably smarter than he needs to be in an overcoat with a scarf done as a cravat around his neck. And I get out of the car, leave the car right there, and I'm escorted in to a desk where I'm asked to sit and wait for a few moments until somebody comes and joins me. And then eventually someone comes on along with some paperwork, and we fill in things, and they say, give me your number and we'll call you if there's anything we need. So off I went to go and wait for my car service to be completed, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm probably going to be hit up for something or another. I know I had a fixed cost servicing, but at the end of the day, I've got a feeling I'm going to be hit up for something. This seems like a dealer that likes to create a bit of a performance about the servicing. So I just had this inkling that I was going to be overcharged. When I got the call to go back later on and fill in the paperwork, I found that actually there was nothing that there was no overcharging that I was going to be receiving. The reason I'm telling you this story is because the type of service that I had expected, and it wasn't because I was going to a BMW dealership or I wasn't unfamiliar or uncomfortable in that environment, but I felt that the nature of the way that they did the service came across as unnatural and inconsistent with kind of the environment of what they were doing. At the end of the day, they were servicing my car. Do you need a guy? Not that he was, but what would you think if somebody came to receive you wearing a black tie? You'd think, that's over the top. What message are they trying to send? So that is just one of the ways that giving off the wrong impression can actually send a message that you probably don't intentionally want to send to your clients. And I'm sure that that the BMW dealership thought they were being very clever and very smart by doing that. Anyway, that conveniently leads me on to today's vlog, which is the third out of the 6 areas in which you can identify where the actual problem is and the problem that needs to be solved. So often the problem simply manifests itself in the bottom line and you say, I'm not making profit, I'm not getting the same customers that I used to be doing. So service is actually quite a key area, and the key determinant about service, as far as I'm concerned, or the definition, is the service that you expect and the service that you get. So if I go somewhere and I expect a certain level of service, if I don't get that service because it underperforms, then I'm going to be disappointed. If I get that service, that would be in line with my expectations and I would be content. If my expectations were exceeded, especially if they were massively succeeded or if there were some details that I was impressed by, then I would think, wow, I'm very impressed by this. I'm going to start making referrals and introductions to this place. I'm going to tell everyone about what a fantastic service they did, and I would be content. So that is one of the key things that one of the key takeaways, which is basically make the service consistent with what you're offering. If you go and offer an outrageously extensive service which absolutely wows somebody, and at the end of the day they're having just they're receiving something cheap, or you're selling them a CD, that would be inconsistent. You can't spend an hour talking to somebody about a CD. Yes, it's going to build a relationship, but you're only getting £10 out of it. So spend your time and give your service in a way that is consistent with what the customer expects or is not too far in excess of that. in particular when you're looking at cheaper things. When you're looking at much higher cost or higher revenue type things, then obviously you can spend a lot more time. And indeed, they'd be somewhat disappointed if you were spending, say, 10 or 20,000 pounds on something and it was wham bam, thank you, and off you go. So you need to be consistent. So you need to look at the price and you need to look at the quantity of what you're trying to sell. So looking through at my list here, so it's the amount of time that you take, the amount of individual interest and attention that you give to somebody, in particular when you're paying somebody attention, if you can actually tailor it to them so that they actually think or feel that it is genuine as opposed to something where you're just going through the motions, then that is certainly going to add a lot of value to your customers. But the key is that you do what you say. If you make a promise, you stick to it. In particular with timing, if you make a promise that something will be delivered by a particular point, you stick to it. If you are unable to meet that deadline that you've given your clients or that you've offered your clients, then what you do is you make sure that you give them as much information as early as possible so that they understand that you're thinking from their point of view and the inconvenience that it is to them, and that you're building that in. That is service. Service doesn't always mean meeting your commitments. It means being clear and letting the customer know of exactly where he stands and reassuring him that he is going to get at least what he expects. And one of the other the areas that I wanted to speak about with quality is that quality should be rooted in your vision, in your company's vision. If your company's vision is to flatter your clients, is to make clients think, wow, that's an amazing company to deal with, that should be reflected in your service. If your root vision of your business is basically rack 'em and stack 'em, you need to sell as many as you can. It doesn't necessarily need to be a personal service. Maybe you're selling entirely through the internet, and that taking your vision and taking that through and applying it in your service is key. So if you don't get your vision right and what you're all about, then it follows through. There was a reason why day number 1 of my 6 problems and sourcing where they're rooted, the reason that was the vision is because that is always absolutely cool. Moving on to the art part of it, I have a painting here which was one of the first pieces of street art that I bought. This is by an artist called Nick Walker, and this particular piece is called Vandal Airways. So you'll notice that it looks very much like a Virgin plane, in particular the way that Vandal is written on the tail here. And then as you can see, it's been graffitied all over it. And then I actually extended the piece of art by getting my framer to drip the similar colors from the plane above onto the mount of the frame, and then actually onto the frame itself. There are a couple of drips down here. So I think that's a lot of fun. And the reason and the connection that I'm making here is that Virgin Atlantic is an airline that initially got a reputation for being absolutely fantastic on the service side. Customers flocked to them and they managed to emerge and overtake the other airlines. Now, they probably could be responsible for actually bringing up the service quality of many of the airlines, but subsequently, Virgin actually has got something of a less good reputation, and that is because the expectations were that they were doing a fantastic job, and actually subsequently they were doing that with the upper class, I believe, and with the economy it was very much a cattle class, and actually was regarded as being somewhat below standard. So that's my vlog for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Day number 4 of 6 problem identification vlogs is coming up tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. Have a good day.